Hello again. Where are we up to?
I have Natsuki's headache. Natsuki is haunting me. Where are we up to?
You were falling asleep, so...
Yeah.
As Lambda and Byrne were talking to each other, having their little skirmish, they called it.
Yeah, and Battler wants to take the game board back. The servants are freaking out over what's happening. They're trying to... So you've got even Beatrice's furniture trying to figure out who is doing the murders.
Mm-hmm. So, in episode 4, Battler receives the power of the blue truth.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't use it until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice is the first one to use it, in fact.
Mm-hmm. Where are you going with this?
So he hasn't really done much in terms of reasoning and fighting.
Until this episode where it's not actually him but Lambda's version of Battler.
Well, when you see Byrne and Lambda fighting each other, Byrne's just throwing out the blue truths because she's I don't know, just going here.
Yeah.
She's they're more relentless than Battler was, essentially. Battler was kind of scared to make moves, I guess. Whereas Byrne is just I'm going to make as many moves as I can.
Mm. And Beatrice has sweared her loyalty to Natsuki. They're going to protect Natsuki as the king. Father, it's Natsuki. Good morning. There's no way he'll wake up if you do it like that. Father, it's Ava. Please wake up. It's an emergency!
Ava pushed Natsuki aside and knocked her repeatedly with all her strength.
Quiet down! You're being too boisterous! Is now really the time to be saying something like that?
So, he isn't picking up the phone, and he isn't responding to knocking either. That's troublesome.
He might be in a bad mood again. Kinzo-san sometimes considers even the slightest change to be an omen, and gets into a bad mood for reasons only he can understand.
Ho, 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 ho. Yes, that's true. This isn't something that started today.
Is that how badly grandfather wants to shut himself away in the study?
Yes. It's not uncommon for him to stay in his study for more than a month at a time.
Don't tell anyone, but even though I work here, I sometimes forget that the master even lives here.
Go now! That's not the sort of thing a servant should be saying.
My apologies, madam. I'm truly sorry.
I need to reposition. Anyway, isn't it bad that we can't get in contact with him? In the worst case, father might not even know that there's been a crime, right? Well, I wonder.
Keenly noticing that people were starting to doubt Kinzo's existence, Cannon mumbled those words.
Who was the last person to meet father? And when? It was me. Last night. Up until the time of the uproar from when Battler found the gold. I was in father's study giving the daily report.
So at around 11 p.m. last night?
No way around it. Let's open it up.
What did you say? This is the family head's precious study and research room. No one is permitted to trespass without permission, okay? Who here holds the highest rank? Me, right? I am the third in rank of the Ushiromiya family. If we open it and get scolded by father, that's also the responsibility of the highest ranked. Because of the urgent circumstances, we'll open this door. You have a key, right? Open it.
I believe you know this, but the study door cannot be opened with the master key.
The master has recently taken away Genji-sama's key as well. So he has both keys on his person. Therefore,
So, both of the keys that can open this door are inside the study.
A closed room. Good. It's finally starting to get interesting. It'd be pretty neat if Kinzo-san was lying on the bed in there with his throat cut.
you're being far too indiscreet, Erika-san. Anyway, as you know, this door can only be opened by the keys that Father has. That means anyone, even a murderer, would find it impossible to even touch Father from the outside room. So Father must be okay. Still, that doesn't mean we shouldn't worry about confirming his safety. Are you really so unconcerned for the safety of the father you respect so much? That isn't...
The atmosphere, which had been so agitated a second ago, suddenly went cold, and an eerie feeling filled the room as everyone stared at Natsuhi. They could understand why Natsuhi would protect the study under normal circumstances. People knew that she probably didn't want to disturb the research of Kinzo, a man she certainly respected, and she was therefore trying to keep the unpleasant relatives away. However, this was an extraordinary situation. A murder had occurred. Natsuhi's persistence in keeping things quiet for Kinzo, even in a situation like this, was hard to understand using common sense.
There's a good chance that the crime occurred on this island will turn out to be plotline murders mimicking the epitaph. It's probably a good idea to assume that the crimes will continue. If we view these as plotline murders, then it will keep going until a total of 13 lives are taken. Do you have any concept of how many victims that would be?
Wait a sec. How many people do you think there are on this island? Wouldn't that be almost everyone?
None, you've got it all wrong. As far as I know, the mystery novel with the most dead people in a serial murder was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which had 10 deaths. In the realm of Japanese mysteries is probably the Tokyo Zodiac Murders by Shimada Soji, though there were less than 10 deaths in that one. Did you know? If 13 people die, as it seems they will, it'll lead to the most infamous and famous development in the history of the mystery genre. The completion of a 13-person serial murder case, right? And if everyone on this island is killed, that'd make it a historical achievement in the world of serial murder mysteries, with even more deaths than the longest murder mystery in the world and the longest one in Japan put together, don't you see? Hey, didn't you know, everyone?
Is that his goal?
I think it's Erika.
The culprit in this crime is giving us an incredible challenge, one that might even surpass all the mysteries throughout the world and throughout history. Of course, everyone realized that long ago, right? If you like mystery, Christie is a must-read. If you're Japanese, then it's only natural that you've read Shimada Soji's works all the way through. Are you sure you've been reading enough, everyone?
It's useless. Huh? Looks like you haven't read enough yourself.
Did I say something wrong?
Erika, who had been chatting away happily all by herself up until a second ago, changed her expression into a displeased glare in an instant. What you were saying about the Japanese mystery genre. Sakaguchi Ango's non-serial murders beats the Zodiac murders.
The number of people was the same in both, right?
They tie for the record, but Non-Serial Murders was first published in 1947. The Zodiac Murders was 1981. If you know so much about it, shouldn't you have mentioned Non-Serial Murders first? Erika glared at Battler with an expression that couldn't be fully described with the word shock, and her arms shook as she stood there, lost for words.
That's so totally lame. Well, that's understandable. The crimes in Zodiac took place in 1936, right? That must have gotten her confused, right?
Lambda Delta kept on hitting the table, overcome with laughter. Even Bernicastel, who had been struck with humiliation, snorted and started pounding the table and laughing in the same way.
This is just too good. Not bad, Peace Battler.
The table's destroyed.
I'm impressed. You must read a lot, don't you, Battler-san?
Books? I hardly read those at all.
You liar. You know quite a lot, don't you?
I'd never say something as arrogant as I'm a book reader. I'm a book reader isn't something a person who doesn't even read 100 per year should say so lightly, don't you think?
You mere piece.
Anyway, we can't let such a massive crime take place. That's right. At any rate, checking Dad's safety is our first priority right now. But what should we do? He's ignoring the phone and our knocks. The keys are inside. There's nothing we can do. Are we supposed to knock this thick door down? That won't be easy.
Father might have been attacked by someone and is severely injured, and maybe he's waiting for someone to help him. This is an extraordinary circumstance. Even Father will understand. And if he has any rebukes, I'll be happy to take responsibility myself. But breaking down a door would be quite rude. What about the window?
That's right. The window. Is there a ladder somewhere that can reach as high as the 3rd floor? We should be able to get inside by smashing the window.
Erica finally came back to her senses, and her tone regained its decisive edge.
The 3rd story window. That would be dangerous.
We won't know unless we try. Is there a ladder around here that can reach up to 3 floors? I don't think the ladder in the gardening shed is long enough. Oh, then what about the ladder in the boiler room? I remember using it earlier when a bird made a nest on top of the rain gutter. Yes, that would be able to reach without a doubt. He must have been extremely happy about thinking of something Canon hadn't.
No, Natsuhi's just like, Goda, will you shut up?
Looking pleased with himself as though he had won something, he glanced around at everyone. He was probably hoping that Natsuhi would praise him, but she quickly avoided his gaze. Of course, Canon had known about that letter too. However, in order to protect Kinzo's secret, he'd intentionally pretended to have forgotten.
But with this weather and the strong winds, isn't this just too dangerous?
I agree. If someone gets seriously injured, we can't go to the hospital until tomorrow, right?
The wind might not be as strong in the courtyard. I think it's at least worth it to take a look.
But truly, going up to the 3rd floor will be quite a challenge. Back when we had to clean up the bird's nest, most of the servants shrank away from the danger. And that's when I, your humble servant, took on a major role in spectacularly handling the situation.
Right, then there's no problem. Let's just get a ladder that'll reach.
And it looks like someone here already has experience with this sort of thing.
Huh?
Gertie's gonna die just from pure accident, isn't he?
Second twilight, first death. Goda, accidental. The courtyard was surrounded on all 4 sides, so while the rain was still fierce, the wind had almost no effect. Fortunately, the ceiling jutted out a bit, so even the rain wasn't so bad. Okay, let's try standing the ladder up. Be careful, don't hurt yourself. Sure. Rudolph and Battler carried the special ladder, which was designed for work on high places. 2 umbrellas followed the pair. Shannon and Cannon were holding umbrellas and sheltering them from the rain. It doesn't matter if we get wet. Go back under the eaves. Goda-san, even if there's something wrong with your knees, you can at least hold the ladder down, right? Yes. If only I had enough... What the heck is that? Hyaluronan.
Hyaluronan.
Going up a ladder would be no problem at all. I am truly sorry. Goda clambered forward to replace Shannon and Cannon. As she watched this, Kirie giggled. Dad, hammer. Cool. Butler, you love athletics, don't you? Not as much as I love my cool handyman dad. You little brat. Sheesh. I guess I've got to show this son of mine my good side every once in a while. Battler, Goda's son. Hold that ladder down tight. And make sure you're looking up, okay? My hand might slip and you'll have this hammer tumbling down on you. Don't worry. I'll catch it and smash your head in. After putting the hammer they'd gotten to smash the window in his pocket and cracking his knuckles, Rudolph started climbing.
Will Rudolph-sama be okay? He'll be fine. That guy could totally be in an action movie. Plus, sports are one of his strong points. Shouldn't Shannon be, devastated that George is dead? Not really showing her being distressed. She should know.
Was it told? I can't remember if they told them. Probably did. I don't know. I wish you'd tell me how my skating prowess is supposed to help me climb ladders. I am in a... I don't know where my Rudolph voice has gone. I am in a bower, always going in a big pinch, or whatever.
He'll manage to avoid dying, so there's nothing to worry about. More importantly, we're really lucky the shutters aren't down. Isn't it a common practice to lower the shutters to Father's study for the night? Yes. When we're permitted to enter and exit, we open and close them in the morning and at night.
However, I think it was decided that such a thing was unnecessary for the time being, so it was left open.
I see. Father will be pretty mad, won't he? If his son smashes his window and comes in while he's sleeping.
Wait, is that Shannon Ken?
I thought it was canon.
That's... probably.
It'd be wonderful if we didn't have to smash the window, don't you think?
Both Shannon and Cannon knew that Kinzo no longer existed in this world. Natsuhi had ordered them to interfere as much as possible, but now that it had come to this, there was nothing the two of them could do. They had tried to interfere by pretending they didn't know about a ladder that could reach up to the third floor window, but because of Goda's showing off, that ladder had been found. Rudolph carefully climbed the ladder. He would reach the third floor window very soon. As he did this, Shannon and Cannon stared at him, looking uneasy. After this, what will happen next? To the two of them. To Madam. To the Master. Very soon, Rudolph will reach the window.
So, it's already the end for this room's barrier.
Ha ha! The soldiers are scaling the ramparts, trying to reach the other side. The moment of surrender is truly right before our eyes. I am prepared to be erased at any moment.
We can't let that happen. You have to remain alive, even if it means crawling through the dirt. I'll think about what to do next. For now, escape from this place.
You may say that, but what can I do? Ava and the rest are still camped out in the hallway, and Rudolph is approaching the window. There's no way of retreat through the door or the window.
In that case, perhaps you could hide under the bed.
So I am not even permitted the chance to wait for the enemy's arrival in my throne.
You might have done that while you were still alive, but now you're a ghost that Natsuhi and I brought to life. Ghosts should do what ghosts do best and hide under the bed or in a closet.
Will something like that really deceive their eyes? My.
Don't worry. I'll be with you. I'll let you escape at the last moment.
It'll be dangerous for you. Even though you're a demon, you won't get away unscathed if you're burned by the magic-resisting toxin.
Don't worry about that. Anyway, I need things to get at least that bad before my heart starts pumping.
How comforting. I understand. I'll hide under the bed.
Milady, Rudolph will reach the window very soon.
Garp. I've changed my mind. I'll guard this place. Hide yourself along with Runaway.
What did you say? You've got it backwards. Didn't we plan to leave this place to Garp and have you retreat, milady?
Though Runaway should have been used to her fickleness, this surprised him for the first time in a long while. Beato may have been a powerful queen, but she was also an important piece that mustn't be exposed to danger. Though she was strong, running to the front lines without any plan would not be a praiseworthy move.
What kind of whim is this? It's just a whim. I'm not so fond of boredom that I could simply sip tea while leaving everything to you. I've just gotten the urge to jump into the struggle right away. Kenzo?
Pretty much still go up.
Go. I understand. It is your game after all. You can do as you wish. I'll carefully watch over the corpses of the first Twilight that I raised, making sure nothing happens to them.
Sorry for stealing your time to shine.
Is this really acceptable, milady?
You should know I like showing off even more than my 3 meals a day. I've done nothing but gobble up Garb's turn. Don't worry about it.
Runaway and Garp both fell silent. The two of them had already noticed. Lady Berncastel, who used Furudo Erika as a piece, was a terrifying opponent. This fight would probably be terrifying as well. Beato couldn't expose Garp, her friend, to this danger. Beato bluffed and said that wasn't the case. But Runaway and Garp had already figured it out. Therefore, after confirming Beato's resolve one last time, and seeing that she was completely firm in her decision, they nodded in silence and accepted it.
I understand. I'll leave this place to you. I'm rooting for you. Take care.
Yes, please watch over my efforts to your heart's content.
Lady Berncastel will probably start trying to expose Kinzo's absence with a closed room argument. Fights in a closed room are normally Garp's area of expertise. Queens are commanders because they're best at fighting in wide open areas. This won't be an easy fight.
I'm fully aware of that. I currently serve Natsuki. Watching Natsuki's danger from above and letting Garp take care of it doesn't make sense to me.
Understood. I wish you luck in battle.
Be careful. If it becomes a complete closed room, we won't be able to come in and help you.
I'll laugh at them a bit, and if things get bad, I'll just grab Kinzo and run for it. It's easy. With the door and the window, the past and the future to choose from, there are plenty of places to run to. Of course, I won't let this become a closed room.
Though you won't see us, we'll be cheering you on from very close by. Good luck.
Sure.
Garp and Runaway became a swarm of gold butterflies and disappeared, and Kinzo melted into the darkness beneath the bed. Then Beato also became a swarm of gold butterflies and melted away inside the study. And after that, all figures and signs of life had disappeared from the study, and it once more regained a silence as though no one had been there from the beginning. Then, Rudolph's outline slipped into view from beyond the window's curtain. "Dad, if you're there, answer. Dad!" As he yelled, he hit the window. His foothold was so uncertain that just hitting the window felt life-threatening. But of course, this was Rudolph, the show-off. Deciding that he couldn't do anything stupid with so many people watching from below, he suppressed the fear from from being so high up, and boldly knocked on the window.
Come on, grandfather. Can't he hear?
I wonder. I hope he doesn't drop the hammer.
How many seconds have passed?
It's been 30 seconds since he knocked on the window.
So he'll really smash it? The master will be very mad. Well, someone was kind enough to brag about how accepting that anger is her duty, so there's no need to worry. Rudolph-san, that's enough. Do it.
Sure. Damn it, Dad. You better not complain after I smash it. He hit it several times, and eventually a fist-sized hole opened up in the glass. Because of his unstable footing, this took a lot of effort. Using the end of the hammer skillfully, he brushed aside the now fractured bits of glass and opened the hole further. Stuck his hand through it and unlocked the window. Then, after a hard struggle, Rudolph somehow managed to open the window, and his body slipped through into the study. After that, he flopped onto the floor, using his entire body to enjoy the relief of having a ground under him. Dad, it's Rudolph. Answer me. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Kinzo's study was a small villa he had created inside the mansion. A study, a library, a place to sleep, and a bathroom and washroom. It was divided into multiple rooms. That's right, with all this at your fingertips, it wouldn't be hard to spend your days in this study without leaving it all. The bed was empty. There were marks on it that made it seem as though someone had slipped out, but there was no one in sight. This happens a lot in ninja movies. Someone finds that the bed is still warm, so the occupant couldn't have gone far. Rudolph tried placing his hand on the bed, but he couldn't feel any heat at all. Not only was there no heat, it felt completely ice cold. And the bed wasn't the only thing that was ice cold. The air inside the room, and even the presence about it, if that's the right word for it, even that felt ice cold. To Rudolph, it felt as though Kinzo had slipped out of this room a long time ago. However, it's been well cleaned. It has signs of having been lived in. Wrinkles in the bed, the slight angle of the chair. Here and there were many marks that would doubtlessly have been cleaned or fixed up if someone had come in to make the beds. As far as I can tell off the top of my head, Dad must have slipped out of bed several hours ago at the latest. That would be the same general time period as the brutal murder case. Guess we can't be sure Kinzo's absence and the crime are completely unrelated. For the time being, he leaned out the window and told Kirie and the others in the courtyard to come back up since he was going to unlock the door. Then he pushed the button on the study desk and released the door's audio lock. There was a heavy clunking sound, and Natsuhi and the rest dashed in immediately.
Father, good morning.
Sorry, but it isn't Dad. I'm the one who opened it.
Was Kinzo-san there?
Nope. It looks like someone slipped out of bed. But you can't tell when that happened.
And Natsuhine-san was the last person to meet him, right? At around 11 o'clock last night. I wonder if that means he slipped out of the study sometime after that and went somewhere else. Well, we must consider Father's fickle nature. It wasn't at all uncommon for him to suddenly wake in the middle of the night, claiming to have had a revelation in a dream, and walk around the mansion. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo?
True. This has happened before. Anyway, he is a fickle person. Right, Kumasawa-san?
Oh, that's true. Perhaps he had a strange dream and slipped out of bed. That isn't uncommon at all, yes.
Then where did he slip off to? Does this mean there's a good chance Father's been caught up in this crime?
See? We should have checked to make sure Father was safe from the beginning, right? We can't be sure he isn't in this room. Maybe the culprit tied him up and locked him in the closet or something like that.
Good point. Let's search.
This is the head's precious study! You mustn't touch things without reason.
Ah, yeah, that's right. There's something I needed to tell you, culprit-san.
When Natsuhi heard this said right in front of her, her heart froze. but Erika had only just happened to be standing right in front of Natsuhi when she said it. She had directed her words to the room at large. She hadn't been speaking to Natsuhi in particular. Natsuhi turned her back on Erika, trying to prevent her faltering expression from being noticed.
I have a photographic memory. If you try to alter the crime scene by hiding some evidence, I'll know right away. Please don't slip up here and disappoint me. Any mystery where the whodunit is solved by a culprit slip-up or misspeak is only third-rate, don't you think?
I don't understand what you're saying, but try to refrain from incautious remarks. Father, are you there? Please answer me.
Natsuhi started walking around and calling out in a loud voice, refusing to let Erika say any more. There was a knock. Kiria and the others who had gone down to the courtyard had returned.
So, Father isn't here after all?
He might be tied up and shut away somewhere around here. We were just searching for him. I'm surprised he managed to shut himself away in a place like this for all that time. Give it up, Nair-san. We can't change anything now.
I wonder what Madame plans to do.
Get paid back for all the lies she's told up until now.
Shh. Let's leave fate in God's hands. Yes.
Many people clambered around Kinzo's vast study, looking here and there. Inside the closet and in the bathtub, even in the refrigerator under the study desk. They looked everywhere, almost as though they were it in a game of hide and seek. However, not only were they unable to spot Kinzo, they couldn't even find a single suspicious mark.
It seems clear that Father isn't here. That's enough. Please don't disturb Father's precious study any further. Oh, that's right, that's right. There's nothing the Master hates more than having things moved around without his permission. Father's nowhere to be found. Maybe he really was caught up in that crime. Though we can't be sure of that.
Natsuhi averted her gaze once more.
It's okay, Natsuhi. We truly do have our backs against the wall. On the off chance that someone entered the study, I had planned to trick them by saying he'd probably gone for a walk somewhere. However...
Humph. No one would believe that I'd get dressed up for a casual midnight stroll in a mansion where a murder has occurred and many people have been killed. Though I wouldn't put it past myself to do such a thing.
Come now, Kinzo. Be a good boy and hide under the bed. It's okay, Natsuhi. You may remain calm. It's possible to prove that someone exists, but you can't prove that someone doesn't exist. In other words, the human world is one in which, regardless of whether something exists or not, you can make it so that they exist. And the shadows that can make such things exist are themselves the world of us witches, the world of demons. You mean a devil's proof? Yes, so don't worry. The power of demons will most certainly protect you. If I could protect the honor of Father and my husband, I wouldn't mind sacrificing this body of mine to demons. Your resolve is good. Don't be anxious. I most certainly will not let Kinzo be killed.
At that time, a dry sound suddenly rang out twice. Erika had clapped her hands, seeking everyone's attention. Though such an action should have been above a guest's place, for some reason, it already felt like a natural right of hers. After all, she was the detective.
I think that's enough. Ishiremiya Kinzo-san is nowhere to be found in this study.
Yeah, we've searched everywhere. He could have been hiding. Dad's nowhere to be seen.
Furthermore, we found nothing that looks suspicious.
Yes, we didn't find anything at all.
Erika said it again. They hadn't been able to discover anything.
In that case, we mustn't loiter around this room. Do you understand how angry your father would be if he learned that so many people were looking through his study? Ava-san, you said you were prepared to take responsibility, didn't you? Are you prepared for him to break off relations with you for the rest of your life? That's for father to decide, not you.
Silence, please. I'd like to lay out the situation. At 11 p.m. last night, the last person to meet Kinzo-san in this room was Natsuhi-san, right? Can anyone confirm that?
Confirm?
Yes, that's right. After all, the only one who claims that Natsuhi-san really did stop by here at 11 p.m. last night is Natsuhi-san herself. There wouldn't be a problem if Kinzo-san confirmed that Natsuhi-san really did come here last night, but that vital witness isn't here.
So you're saying alibis are the foundation of a mystery?
Yes, that's right. Alibis are important. Of course, they're also useless when it comes to the actual theory making, but it is common courtesy to poke around those boxes.
Even though you didn't ask for alibis regarding last night's murder, you are doing it for grandfather's disappearance. You really are a fickle person.
Oh, don't worry. Have no fear that I will fully examine everybody's alibis regarding the murders of the first Twilight later. So, can anyone confirm that Natsuhi-san visited here at 11 p.m? If no one can, we'll be forced to doubt whether Natsuhi-san really was the last person to spot him.
Are you saying that I can't be trusted?
No, it's actually the opposite. I hope that you aren't the culprit. After all, that'd make this really boring. Only the worst third-rate mysteries have the most suspicious person as the culprit.
Natsuki-san is suspicious? Wait a second. How can you say that?
He's right. Calling Madame suspicious is the height of discourtesy.
Be quiet! Dr. Najo, Goda, thank you. Erika-san, do you have some sort of proof to justify such a rude outburst?
Yes, though it's so simple that it annoys me. Sorry to bother you with this TV drama quality evidence, but if you don't mind...
Why don't you just let us hear it?
When Battler glared at her, a cold expression rose to Erika's face for an instant. But it was only for an instant. After smiling peacefully and gazing around at everyone, she started to talk. She looked like the main character in a play, who had come out onto the stage bathed in a spotlight.
It's about this morning. Please remember the time after the murders occurred, during the big uproar that followed. We wanted to tell Kinzo-san about the crime, but he wouldn't come out no matter how many times we called him on the telephone. Remember that time?
Anyway, isn't it bad that we can't get in contact with him? In the worst case, father might not even know there's been a crime, right?
Well, I wonder. Keenly noticing that people were starting to doubt Kinzo's existence, Kana mumbled those words.
Who was the last person to meet father? And when? It was me, last night, up until the time of the uproar from when Butler found the gold. I was in father's study giving the daily report.
So at around 11 p.m. last night. Hehe.
Erika chuckled significantly.
And what's your point? Ridiculous.
I think Kirie-san probably did that intentionally. Am I right?
What do you mean by that? I hoped someone might fall for it.
I see. Thank you, Kirie-san. Actually, I was planning to do the same thing if you didn't.
My voice.
Is who saw the master last really that important?
Yes. If we take the circumstances into account, then in response to the question, who met him last, it was very odd for Natsuhi-san to instantly answer me.
Why? Madame told the truth without hiding anything.
Be quiet! Why do you think it was so odd? Goda's become the new shut up Nazi.
Why are you so sure that no one else met Kinzo-san after 11 p.m.?
Well, that's because I watched as he went to bed. It's only natural to assume that he would then sleep until morning and not meet with anyone.
Considering the circumstances, it was easy to suspect the last person to spot him of having some kind of involvement with this case. A normal person in Natsuhi-san's position wouldn't say I was the last person to meet him. I met him at 11 p.m. Right, Kirie-san?
Yes, that's correct. A normal person would say, I met him at 11 o'clock. However, I'm not sure I was the last person to meet him. Something like that.
Good. Claiming to be the last witness is usually quite difficult. That is, unless you know something that makes you sure there were no other witnesses after you. In third-rate mysteries, the last one to spot the victim is often the culprit. They killed the victim themselves, so they knew that no one else could have met the culprit later on, is how the argument goes.
Couldn't that be nothing more than a minor misspeak? It's not important enough to be picked up out of the blue and focused on.
Yes, that's nothing more than nitpicking. Isn't it a little too early to suspect Natsuhi-san because of a little slip of the tongue like that?
Furthermore, you said she'd need a reason to be sure no one else spotted the master. But of course she'd had such a reason. She left the room after seeing the master go to bed. Following common sense, is perfectly natural to assume that he probably wouldn't meet anyone else until the next morning.
No, that isn't natural at all. After all, Natsuhi-san, Dr. Nanjo, and Kumasawa-san all made this claim a short while ago. Please try to remember.
And Natsuhi-san was the last person to meet him, right? At around 11 o'clock last night. I wonder if that means he slipped out of the study sometime after that and he went somewhere else. That's... Well, we must consider father's fickle nature. It wasn't at all uncommon for him to suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, claiming to have had a revelation in a dream, and walk around the mansion. Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo?
True, this has happened before. Anyway, he is a fickle person. Right, Kumasawa-san?
Oh, that's true. Perhaps he had a strange dream and slipped out of bed. That isn't uncommon at all, yes.
Yeah, we definitely do have testimony. That it wasn't at all uncommon for grandfather to suddenly slip out of bed late at night.
Good. Your memory's not bad, Battler-san. In other words, it's common knowledge to those in the Yushiromiya head house, Natsuhi-san included, that Kinzo-san might wake up in the middle of any given night, on a whim, and wander around. On top of that, they are aware that this happens quite often.
Isn't that odd? If you knew father often wanders around at night, there's no way you could be certain that he'd stay in his bed until morning, right?
It really is, like a third-rate mystery. You know, that thing they do in the last 5 minutes? Where the culprit asks, when did you first realize it was me? And the detective answers.
Seriously. That's why I feel let down. If it turns out Natsuhi-san really is the culprit, this will be worse than a TV mystery. That's why I want to clear away the suspicion surrounding Natsuhi-san as soon as I can. I want to make sure this mystery isn't third-rate before I do anything else.
There's no need to get anxious, Natsuhi. This is a classic word game used by detective wannabes. What exactly is her point? How could she possibly corner you with this accusation alone? In the court of hell, all the demon jurors will declare you innocent, So calm down and don't get flustered.
It may be true that Natsuhi looks suspicious when you say it like that. Still, it sounds like you're just nitpicking to me.
But it is suspicious. Isn't this more than enough reason to suspect that Natsuhide-san's hiding something? Oh, all the unfair accusations! And how cowardly of you, Ava-san! You're the sole person who can confirm that I was really here at 11 o'clock, aren't you?
Is this true, Ava-san?
Oh, did that happen? I am sorry. At the time, I was losing my head because of the recently discovered gold, so I forgot all about bumping into Natsuhide-san until just a second ago.
So, Ava-san, you can confirm that Natsuhi-san was a witness at 11 p.m.
Yes, unfortunately. I'm able to acknowledge the one part of Natsuhide-san's story, but only that she came out of this room. What are you implying? Oh, I'll tell you. In fact, I've wanted to say this for a long time now. I do realize it's improper to bring this up in the middle of such a tragic murder case, but the timing now is just too perfect. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Natsuhide-san?
The servants gulped and held their breaths. It seemed that they hadn't been able to hide it after all. In the middle of this heavy silence, Ava fingered her trump card, and Natsuhi tried to act calm. Both space and time grew heavy as lead, and swallowed up everything.
Just when did Kinzo-san disappear, I wonder?
Erika's words, spoken almost casually, tore that atmosphere into pieces, like shattering glass. Simply put, we haven't met him once at the family conference, this year or last.
That's right. We suspected it since last year. Seeing as how my son and the others have just been killed, this may not be the time or place to press you on this. But there's a chance that this has something to do with the crime, so pressing you is just what we'll do.
It's possible that you have a motive for hiding Father's death. We have reasons to suspect that you're embezzling his assets. If Father were to die, an investigation would be conducted for the distribution of the assets and your embezzlement would be exposed. That's why you hid the fact that Father's already dead.
I see. That's more than enough for the why done it. This keeps getting more and more third rate. Ah, boring.
I don't know what you're talking about. You say I'm hiding the head's death? I most certainly won't forgive such a reckless accusation!
And that's right. In addition to Madame, the other servants take care of the master on a daily basis, and they see him all the time. Genji-san, Shannon-san, and Karin-kun. Even Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san meet with him often. Perhaps because he doesn't trust me, I haven't seen him once since last year, but...
Be quiet, Goda-san!
My apologies.
Aren't all of the witnesses besides Natsuhi-san servants employed by her? So, you used money to make them follow your story. Oh man, this really is third rate. Pitiful, pitiful. I'm disappointed, Natsuhi-san. So I guess I'll have to finish this now.
Finish what?
Ishinomiya Kinzo-san.
What is it, uninvited guest?
You don't exist, do you? You're a ghost whose death was concealed by the humans who didn't want it known because of the inheritance problem. Ghosts are supposed to quickly pass on to the next world. Even though this is the first time we've met, I've yet to give you a proper greeting. My apologies. Good day. Pleased to meet you. And goodbye.
So close to Erika's face that you could barely have wedged a sheet of paper between them, Beato's pipe came to a sudden stop.
And a good day to you, too. I am the Ushiromiya family alchemist, Beatrice the Golden. I'll be your opponent in this fight from here on out.
Glad to meet you. I'm the detective of this game, Furudo Erika. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And now, goodbye.
So, you're Lady Berncastle's next piece after Angie. I'm afraid I didn't get to fight with her to my satisfaction in the end. I'm glad I'll be able to lock horns with you this time, Lady Berncastle's piece.
My master is almighty, omnipotent. A fool like you couldn't even begin to compare with her. I accept your challenge.
You really are calm, even though a witch has appeared before you and is about to fight with magic and fantasy. If you were a battler, you'd be lying on the ground, screaming that this can't possibly be a mystery anymore.
Yeah, even in the mystery genre, parallel universes like this have gotten popular lately. You know about pure reasoning space and all that?
Ayatsuji Yukito doesn't make his debut until next year.
You sure are picky for a witch.
You think you're on the same level as a witch? Don't be so full of yourself, you mere human.
When Beato snapped her fingers, something bounced around the room at terrifying speeds. It was a stake of the witch, a witch's wedge that contained the power of the blue truth within it. Of course, a mere human like Erica couldn't follow that terrible speed with her eyes. Erica understood this, so she didn't attempt to look every which way, stupidly trying to spot it.
Eat this, fool!
With a terrible sound, Lucifer's blue stake buried itself into Erica's right collarbone. It pierced all the way through her back. Lucifer spun around and rebounded, landed in front of Beato, and vanished with a shrill laugh. Erica wasn't blown back, but she had been run through by the blue witch.
So, this is that so-called blue truth. Well then, let me hear your views.
You can't deny the possibility that Natsuhi met with Kinzo at 11 p.m. During the 6 hours or more before you pushed your way into the study, Kinzo had many chances to escape from it. Because of this, you can't state decisively that Kinzo doesn't exist.
Beato had announced that with an expression worthy of her title as a witch. Erica was silent. Was she too shocked to speak? There was no anguish in her expression. She was just quietly listening to Beato's blue truth. No. Judging by her disdainful expression, it's probably more appropriate to say that Beato's words went in one ear and out the other.
Good. Let's start with the classic moves. By the way, this thing really is stuck in good. I can't take it out.
She tried pulling from the front and the back of the blue wedge that pierced her, but it didn't budge an inch. However, her indifferent, relaxed expression didn't budge an inch either.
You can't take it out. The blue truth can only be defeated by the red truth. For one such as yourself, a guest who came to this island at most a day ago, there is no truth that can possibly be known. That means there exists no red that you can use. In other words, this is checkmate.
I see. So that's what kind of space this is. In that case, I'll need a piece suitable for fighting a witch. I'm the detective. My role is to take on the human culprit. You are a witch, and there does exist a fitting piece to use against witches and demons. Let me introduce you. Miss Delanor, it looks like it's your turn.
Delano?
I thought so. I was certain you'd bring that piece in sooner or later. The 10 wedges with which to hunt witches, the Archbishop of Witch Hunting, Delano.
There's no more fitting piece in a battle against demons. I have my double, Erica, and the greatest natural enemy of witches, Delanor. I've now taken control of the 7th rank with my 2 rooks. Let me show you, Lambda Delta, and you too, Beatrice. Now you'll see how useless your struggling is.
Goofy laugh.
Why are they wearing the same outfits as the stakes, though? Just with different coverings.
The air shone brightly, and the piece Erica had guided there showed its form. That form resembled a clergy member, perfectly suited for confronting an evil witch.
How is this one done?
Well, you remember your original Siesta Sister voice?
My robotic
the
buddy?
robot. And I was like, save it for later.
What's this one?
I mean, you can do whatever voice you want, but typically she's kind of seen as like almost emotionless, kind of monotone-ish. Because you see how it capitalizes you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a quirk with the character, like certain words or whatever will be capitalized in the sentence. And I think that's like a translation thing. Because I think in Japanese, she just uses des like every single time she ends a sentence, even when it should be like something else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a pun you'll see later. Because desu sounds like something else in Japanese as well.
Okay.
Japanese, English, whatever.
Oh, like death.
Yeah.
But not a robot.
Doesn't have to be a robot. You can do whatever
All
you
I
want.
can think of is robot.
If you want to do robot, do robot.
Alright. It is a pleasure to meet you. Delano A. Knox is my name.
Even though this space was like a bomb just waiting to go off, she introduced herself in a neat and frank manner. Her out-of-place appearance, completely different from those of the demons and witches, felt blatantly odd and had a kind of severity to it.
This is the first time I've met you, but I've heard all the rumors, so this doesn't truly feel like a first meeting.
The same goes for me, Miss Beatrice. The detailed materials Eisen Jungfrau has on you, so oh my goodness. The same goes for me, Miss Beatrice. The detailed materials Eisen Jungfrau has on you, summarized in 600 pages. I always read such reports, so this doesn't feel like a first meeting to me either.
The Secretary of Hell could summarize those 600 pages in 6 letters.
Allow me to ask.
Danger.
A fitting summary. When I return, I will summarize the materials on you using only 2 letters more out of respect.
Executed.
So I'm cute now. You're too polite, my guest.
Then let us continue. Miss Beatrice, I, Delano, the head inquisitor of heresy, do humbly accept my role as your opponent.
My first move is over. If you can't remove the blue wedge from that Fururo Erika over there, then you might as well totter back up to heaven and get back to your usual boring job of stamping forms.
Please do something about this wedge thing. It looks like Beatrice-san thinks she's already achieved checkmate with this alone.
After making a show of tapping her finger on the blue wedge that pierced her, Erica shrugged as though taunting Beatrice.
Beatrice! It's okay, I'm just toying with her a bit. After all, if things get bad, I can grab Kinzo and run out of here whenever I want. I can leave this room at any time and go anywhere.
That is useless.
Ho?
Now that you've met with me, this is your demise. Escape will not be permitted. None can escape. True, we can't deny that it'd be possible for Father to suddenly wake up and go somewhere. But you know what? I can say for sure that such a thing couldn't have happened. You know why?
How could I know? Are you trying to say you stood outside the door all night watching to make sure the head didn't take a step outside?
Yes, someone was watching. This kid right here.
Please allow me to speak. Let it be known that entering or exiting through this door is impossible. The palace guards are ordered to blockade the study door. The doors to heaven opened with a strong, unrelenting radiance like the sun's, announcing the arrival of Delanor's underlings. Those words were clad in the red truth and cut off from the witch's method of escape.
Siesta 410 right here.
Siesta 45 right here. It has been some time, great Lady Beatrice. We were dispatched in accordance with Alliance Agreement 1516 and a request from the Great Court of Heaven. We apologize for the rudeness that is to follow.
We formed a precision blockade on the study door, yeah? I think it's best if we stay away from it, yeah? Hee.
Allow me to speak. I say again, from last night at 11 p.m. until the present time, the study door was not opened even once.
What is that scrap of paper? Ah, this is
tape.
from like ages ago.
Yeah, the receipt thingy. I got it wrong.
It's a completely ordinary receipt. But even so, this mere scrap of paper proves that you lied.
Last night, when you came out of the study, Ava saw her chance and wedged a receipt into the crack of the study door. And it fell down just now when Rudolph couldn't open the door for us.
Know what that means? In other words, from 11 p.m. last night until now, Father couldn't possibly have opened this door.
What did you say?
Rudolph, the window was locked, right?
Yeah, that's why I smashed the glass.
The other windows are all locked as well. They're built so that you can't lock them from the outside. Allow me to speak. Know that the windows were all locked. Palace guards blockade all of the windows.
By the name of Eisen Jungfrau, I give the palace guards permission to make use of forbidden weapons. Who's that one?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I think it might have been you.
I can't remember. Understood. Entire force permission granted for use of forbidden weapon. Red warhead. Begin transmitting. Activation code.
Unya? The password doesn't work, yeah?
410, caps locks. Turn caps lock off and try again.
Siesta Squad, precision blockade for study door, and all windows complete. We warn the great Lady Beatrice that if anything is caught passing through these physically, conceptually, or by any other method, we will shoot without warning.
Data link from Archangel Satellite 4. Homing format, verdict model, conceptual guidance.
And on top of that, we've got red warheads near. It's impossible to shoot down, impossible to avoid, impossible to survive when hit. It'd smash even Lady Beatrice into little bits, yeah.
Siesta Squad had lain down at pinpoint blockade over the door and all the windows. Escape would no longer be permitted through any of these.
My. I should be doing the welcoming, but it seems I am the one being welcomed. I'm grateful for the courtesy call, and you've even brought the Chiesta sisters.
Allow me to inform that your paths of retreat have been cut off. Commander Delano, let us now remove the sin and purify.
You've done well. Oh. It's not Beatrice.
You've done well, Miss Beatrice. I've had your paths of retreat terminated. You cannot leave through the door, nor can you leave through the windows. Therefore, escape will now be prohibited.
You think you've shut me in with this alone?
The Inquisitor of Heresy in heaven and her subordinates surrounded the witch. The subordinates used a powerful barrier to cut off Beato's methods of escape. Demons tend to resist capture, and as a result, they sometimes escape. However, angels counter by blocking off passages of escape, allowing them to eradicate their targets without fail.
In other words, this study was a perfect closed room from the time Natsuhine-san claimed she said goodnight to the time Rudolph opened the door.
In that case, Father would have had to have been here. But there's not even a trace of him. Come on, what the hell's going on?
I keep telling you to calm down. The thought that I, Beatrice, could be shut in just because the doors and windows are closed is simply laughable. Kinzo, I was just playing around, but it seems our guest has no such intentions. Let's withdraw before we lose our chance.
Yes. I would not regret losing this life of mine, but for Natsuhi's sake, I cannot die yet.
Beato waved her pipe, and the air was split vertically. Then a pitch-black gate opened there, and slowly opened, or appeared there and slowly opened. It was a warp portal, same as the pitch-black holes that Garp used.
I believe this was written on my files. An elusive phantom can appear from anywhere and disappear to anywhere. As long as Kinzo has me, it will be impossible to capture him.
The pitch-black gate opened. That gate led from everywhere and to nowhere. Both Beato and Kinzo would be sent to a place where no one could catch them. A place where no one could set foot in, much less chase after them.
This is the study of the Ushiromiya family head. And it is also a room that Father helped design personally. Would it really be so strange if he had some way to get outside without using the door?
Yes, that's correct. There would be nothing strange about Master having a hidden door.
A hidden door? And where would that be? It's a hidden door, so I don't know. There are several devices and hidden doors in this mansion that only Father knows of. No one has seen them directly, but everyone in this mansion knows about them vaguely, correct?
Yes.
It's true that there have been always been rumors about hidden passages only the Master knows of.
It's true that Kinzo-san would probably like devices such as that.
And they are hidden doors after all. No matter how much people such as ourselves might search, it's only natural that we won't find them.
I see, so it's a devil's proof. You're saying we can't deny the possibility that a hidden door exists in this room. That's nonsense, a farce. Even considering that your lie about concealing Father's death is about to be revealed. How dare you?
That's right. Just where in this study is there a hidden door? Try and prove that it exists.
Proof is unnecessary. It's a devil's proof. It's impossible to find a hidden door and therefore impossible to disprove that it exists. Therefore, no one can deny the possibility that Kinzo escaped from this study through a hidden door.
I will not allow a hidden door to exist in this room.
Beato's blue wedge, which had been fired off as a farewell gift, was crushed with a flash of Dillanore's longsword, and the pitch-black gate was crushed as well. And it wasn't just crushed, visibly and physically. The warp portal conceptualizing hidden doors would remain destroyed from that point onward.
Why can someone like you, who is neither the owner of the study nor the game master, use the red truth? And what was that? What do you mean What do you mean you will not allow hidden doors to exist?
It's because this is the mystery genre. Nox is third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. Hidden doors mustn't exist in the mystery genre. Sorry about that.
In this world, there are no other gods except our God, and no hidden doors exist. They must not exist, and we won't let them exist. They are blasphemy against our God.
Enough pride in you to shock a witch. It's so painful to watch that it's actually pleasurable.
Here it is, the 10 wedges to pierce witches. Just like usual, it's the kind of irrational argument I just love to hear.
What a fool. The devil's proof might have been vague enough to let you escape from everything until now. But now that you're up against Dillanor, that move won't work anymore, Beatrice.
As I thought, you're no different from any witch after all. I'm disappointed.
Beato, It seems this isn't an opponent we'll be able to escape from easily after all.
Please do entertain me, Beatrice-san. You should at least serve some tea for your guests. It doesn't even matter if it's third rate. Come on, please use the blue truth, and tell me how Kinzo-san escaped from the closed room study.
Very well. Make sure you don't cry. It's possible that after slipping out the door, Kinzo noticed the trick with the receipt and correctly returned it to its original place. Denial of that with the red has already been finished. After 11 p.m., the door to the study was not opened even once. Kinzo might have been a marvelous magician and an inventor, right? He might have invented a drug that turns his body to mist and slipped out through the keyhole. No such drug exists. It must not exist. Or maybe he invented a teleport device, right? That possibility is undeniable because of the devil's proof. Such a machine does not exist. I will not allow it to exist. Oh, so you can examine every drug in the world? You can deny the existence of unknown scientific devices? There's no way you can. It's a devil's proof. You cannot deny that they might exist. I will repeat, by the name of God, I will not let such a drug or machine exist. I will not allow them to exist for all eternity. Not even in the future? Oh, so you think you can even deny possibilities in the future of the human race?
It's Nox's fourth. It is forbidden for unknown drugs or hard-to-understand scientific devices to be used.
The progression of humanity as well as techniques and knowledge that might be obtainable in the future are decided upon by our God, and the denial of their existence has been proclaimed for eternity. Therefore, I will not allow for such a technique to exist for all eternity. It is not permitted.
Beato and Dillenor had supposedly just gone through a massive exchange of red and blue. However, not only did Dillenor not take any damage, she also showed no signs of fatigue. Beato might have been a fearsome witch, but blood flowed through her veins, and she did breathe. She felt both pain and fatigue. But Dillenor was like a doll made of marble. She felt no fatigue, no pain, no hesitation. Even if Beato's sharp wedges had aimed right for Dillenor's eyes, she wouldn't have shut them. In fact, it's doubtful that she ever blinks in the first place.
Beatrice, hang in there! Well, I'd already heard the rumors, but our compatibility really is awful. To think that dreams, hopes, and even future possibilities would be forbidden. The pride of the gods is overwhelming. I'd expect no less from a witch hunter executioner. It seems we'll never be able to enjoy a drink together.
Even the strikes that had made Battler surrender over and over had absolutely no effect on Dillenor. Well,
I more or less knew that was coming, but to think I'd be repelled so easily.
Quite a formidable opponent.
Oh my, so even the great goldsmith has gotten old and decrepit. Hearing those words come out of your mouth is rarer than seeing two comets in the night sky.
I'm not decrepit. I'm already dead.
That's true. Sorry, but I'm not letting you die for just a bit longer.
Beato experienced something she'd only rarely felt during her entire life. It was probably what we would call hardship. Beato quietly brushed aside Natsuhi's hand that tried to comfort her, and she regained her posture again, showing off her witch's pride and her continued readiness to fight.
Is that all? There was no need for me to come here. I'm disappointed. I'm not done yet. I was just testing a few moves just now. I merely wish to measure your abilities.
How foolish. Know your place, Golden Witch. Lady Beatrice.
Beato's expression became tense once again. No longer was there any trace of mischief. The mood changed.
The time for playing is over. Here I go. In that case, I shall acknowledge that Kinzo did not enter or leave the study. Why don't I accept your closed room?
Let it be known that Beatrice has changed her pattern of attack. Beatrice, who had until then thoroughly resisted the idea that a closed room existed, did an about-face. She proclaimed that she accepted their proposition. Of course, this didn't mean she'd surrendered. This was a new attack of Beato's. Delanor noticed this and readied herself.
What's going on? Why did Lady Beatrice acknowledge the closed room when she's trying to destroy it, yeah?
She's probably trying to claim that Kinzo existed outside of this room. Confirmation that the great Lady Beatrice warp portal is reactivated.
Natsuki claims to have talked with Kinzo in the study, but she never said that she spoke with him face to face. Therefore, if Kinzo was in a location other than the study, there was no contradiction as long as they held a conversation.
Let's have a guess. Who is it? I think it's Wrath.
Hmm?
Who do you think it is?
What, speaking?
The stake. I think Wrath. This is my guess.
Okay. I'm not sure.
You guess.
Envy?
After bouncing at an erratic angle, the witch's stake pierced the top of Delanor's foot. It was probably Belkor or something. I was lost.
You sure are slow. Top of the foot, all mine.
Natsuki used the internal phone line in the study to speak with Kinzo, who was in another place. There'd be nothing strange if Kinzo, who hates the relatives, predicted that they'd enter his study and left to go elsewhere. He might have gone to the hidden mansion Kuadorian.
Asmodeus' stake, which contained the power of Beato's blue truth and pierced Delanor's foot, changed into a blue wedge.
Not bad. That makes sense, yeah?
Blue truth valid. A cyclone of gold butterflies swept up with Beato at its center. The magical power of the once smashed black gate was once again refilled.
If I can manage to hold Delanor off here, I'll be able to warp Kinzo out of the study this time all the way to Kuadorian.
Delanor moved clumsily, trying to pull the blue wedge out of her foot, but it didn't even budge. Of course, Beato didn't miss this chance. No witch would.
I've got more, so get ready. There's a chance the Kinzo Natsuki mentioned does not refer to the person himself. The Kinzo Natsuki spoke of might have been another name for this room, right? Kinzo had taken refuge in Kuadorian and was impossible to contact. Perhaps Natsuki called this room Father, and by contemplating inside it, she felt as though she had received some sort of revelation from Kinzo. We've stopped your movement. You've already lost.
Beelzebub's blue wedge pierced the base of Delanor's neck. Of course, even this didn't cause her to flinch, but her movements were restricted even further.
Interesting. Is that all?
You don't call it a full-course dinner if you stop at the soups and hors d'oeuvres. I'll hit you with the main dish and the dessert at once, so watch your stomach explode as you die. Even if, as you say, this is a closed room and impossible to escape from, you can't deny the possibility that he's still hiding in this room. I'm not talking about a hidden door. He might be under the bed or above the ceiling. He might be hiding in a truly unobtrusive blind spot that only demons could know of, right? Or it might be that Natsuki, who was ordered to speak especially on Kinzo's behalf, considered herself both his representative and another Kinzo. In other words, it's also possible that Natsuki was also Kinzo. I've got plenty more. At 11 p.m. last night, Kinzo escaped out the window. Natsuki watched him go and then locked the window. This doesn't lead to any problems. In fact, it might be the most beautiful blue truth yet. How's that, Delanor, Nox? There are many ways to escape from this closed room.
Know your foolishness in trying to oppose my master.
There's no need for you to argue back.
Just lose and sleep for all eternity.
The seven sisters appeared from Beato's golden tornado, one after another, piercing Dillenor with blue wedges. 4 blue wedges were buried into her neck, chest, gut, and thigh. Including the one buried into the top of her foot, she was pin-cushioned by 5 stakes.
Oh, who's this one?
Pretty sure that was you.
Peter-sama! When's my turn? I'll use you if I think of any more. Be quiet for now. How do you like that, Dillenor the witch hunter? After skewering and burning so many witches in the past, how does it feel to be skewered by a witch this time?
They were all ridiculous arguments, but they came fiercely one after another. Though a total of 5 wedges pierced Dillenor, her expression didn't change in the slightest. However, her movements had indeed been limited.
Whew. Witches sure are scary, yeah? You can't beat twisted logic, yeah?
They don't violate the Nox Decalogue. It's valid.
Well done, Beatrice. Even if there was no one in this study, and even if it was a closed room, that alone isn't enough to deny a father's existence. Against a normal opponent, I'd think the matter's settled by now. But this is Dillenor, head inquisitor of the heresy. This ruthless woman killed even her father when he violated the Decalogue. Kinzo, now.
Right.
Now that Dillenor had been pinned down, this was their last chance to recover their magical power and escape. Once again, the pitch-black gate began to rise slowly in front of Beato and Kinzo. Though the gate had once been opened by simply drawing in the air, it wasn't so easy in the study now, filled as it was with the power of denial.
What do you think, everyone? No matter how much you question the state of this study, you can't question whether or not Father is in good health.
Oh, so you say. Both you and I had better not forget that we are part of this battle, right? I cannot fight against witches, but I can fight against you.
Erika grinned at Natsuhi with a smile more demonic than a real demon's.
Natsuhi-san, let me ask again. Last night, you are sure you spoke with Ushiromiya Kinzo-san, right?
Yes. I have said repeatedly that I came to deliver a report for the day and to say good night.
This may be a strange thing to ask, but since it's needed to prove your innocence, please answer me straightforwardly. This Kinzo you speak of is the Ushiromiya Kinzo-san we all know of, right? It isn't a different person or thing with the same name, is it?
I'm not really sure what you mean.
It's like this. You didn't, for instance, start calling the room itself Father after Father's death, right? That's what she's asking. You said you gave a daily report to Father before he went to sleep, right? That doesn't mean you gave a daily report to the wall here all by yourself inside the study called Father, right?
She's on to me, damn it.
How rude! Nothing of the sort happened. Father is Father. He is in good health. And I most certainly gave him a report and said good night to him last night. I'm not trying to trick you or talk my way out of anything.
I see. In that case, can you repeat what I'm about to say? If you aren't tricking or deceiving us in any way, you should be able to do it.
Fine. I'll repeat whatever you want.
Repeat it. Ushiromiya Natsuhi did at 11 p.m. last night. Speak with Ushiromiya Kinzo while in the same room as him. This room.
Ushiromiya Natsuhi did at 11 p.m. last night. Speak with Ushiromiya Kinzo while in the same room as him. This room.
Good. Then I'll ask one last thing. Seriously now, Natsuhi-san. You didn't do anything like throwing Kinzo-san out the window after your conversation and locking the window behind him, right? Because everything still makes sense if you did.
Why would I want to chase Father out the window? That is intolerable. This mockery is intolerable.
Please allow me to speak. Let it be said that when Natsuhi refers to Kinzo, she means Ushiomi Kinzo and nothing else.
Please allow me to speak. Natsuhi claims to have met face-to-face with Kinzo in the study at 11 p.m.
Natsuhi let out a cry, but it was too late. She had been totally suckered in by their provocation. The blue wedge to the foot representing a telephone discussion. The blue wedge to the neck representing the study itself being called Kinzo. The blue wedge to the gut representing Natsuhi herself being called Kinzo. The blue wedge to the thigh representing Natsuhi letting Kinzo escape out the window and locking it afterwards. The four of them were smashed up with a thin sound. Because Natsuhi, the one who knew the truth, had denied them, those denials had gained the power of the red truth. Despite Kinzo's absence in this closed room, Beato had introduced 5 ways that Kinzo could still exist. Natsuhi had carelessly crushed the premises behind 4 of those herself. Only 1 wedge remained. In other words, this was the last blue truth that could bury the contradiction of Kinzo existing in the study at 11 p.m, but not existing there later, after it became a closed room. There was only the theory that pierced Eleanor's chest. Kinzo is hiding somewhere in this room. With that theory, even if Kinzo wasn't present in this closed room study, he could still exist there. If this wedge of Satan's were to be crushed, their chances of escaping this room would become hopelessly dim.
Beatrice-sama, quickly! Escape while you still can.
Eleanor slowly grasped the final wedge, which still pierced her chest. Apparently that vice-like grip was hurting Satan as though all the bones in her body were being broken.
All that remains is this one wedge. It was about Kinzo hiding somewhere in this room, correct?
As the detective, I've searched all of those places. If I didn't find him, just where could he be hiding?
With the final wedge still sticking out of her chest, Eleanor slowly approached Beato. If this wedge was taken out, then...
Allow me to ask, just where in this study is Kinzo hiding?
Well then, maybe he's under the bed.
Check if that place has been finished.
Maybe he's in the bathtub.
A check if that place has been finished.
Inside the closet, under the desk, behind the curtains.
A check if that place has been finished. Check, finished, check, finished.
Behind the bookshelf, behind the closet, under the carpet, under the floor, above the ceiling, behind the wallpaper, inside the sofa, inside the chair, inside the bed, inside the blankets, inside the walls, inside a rock, inside a crag, inside the room.
Check, finish, check, finish, check, finish, check, finish, 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 check, check, finish, 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 die the death, sentenced to death, the great equalizer is death.
That's where the desk comes in. Because it's like, I think she says, sumi, something like sumi des. So it's like, sumi des, death, and then she's like, die the death.
Ah, okay.
I'll show you the clip after. No locations would work against Eleanor by this point. Eleanor took Beato's final desperate onslaught head-on, turning everything back with a far stronger power of denial. Blah, blah, blah. Beat them up, knock them down with overwhelming force. No longer does any place exist in this study for Kinzo to escape to. Beato was blown back like a leaf dancing in the wind, knocked around over and over again like an empty can lying on a road. By now, no matter how many times Beato used the blue truth, it wouldn't be able to defeat Eleanor's red.
Ha 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 ha. Witches are so pathetic. You just try to talk your way out of things endlessly, trying to confuse the truth. Let me borrow Eleanor's words. I'm disappointed, Beatrice-san.
Erika coldly delivered these decisive words to Beato, who was crawling on the ground.
Detective's authority. The detective has the right to inspect all crime scenes. I have exercised this right. Therefore, I can say this. Kinzo-san is not inside this room. Furthermore, this room is a perfect closed room. From the above 2 points, I can state this fact. This room was empty the whole time. Natsuhi-san lied about having met Kinzo-san here last night. That makes this checkmate, Beatrice-san. How's that? Simply by the existence of this room, this level of reasoning is possible for Furudo Erika. What do you think, everyone?
At these words, the final wedge shattered, and at the same time, the pitch-black gate that was about to open shattered once again. This time, the warp portal had been completely destroyed. No longer would Kinzo be permitted to exist in this room, or escape from it. Beato struggled to her feet, but that was the best she could do. She no longer had the energy to fight. She had taken all of the denying Red head-on from close range. It took all her strength just to withstand a pain so strong, it felt like she'd vomit up all her insides. Even Beato, who had always aimed for the title of the strongest and most evil witch, couldn't do a thing against a witch hunter. No matter how sturdy a sandcastle you build on the beach, it can never win against the rising tide.
Sorry, Kinzo. Looks like this opponent really was tough after all.
Beatrice, I thank you. You've done so much for me despite your remaining grudge.
I guess it's true that your life flashes by when you see death coming. I remembered how you once looked when you were young. You were annoyingly like Battler.
I now pass on everything my soul and the qualifications of the head to Battler. I no longer have any regrets.
Battler, my apologies. How pitiful, though I swore to fight with you once again, I must settle my accounts like this.
To Beato, it seemed as though Battler had met her gaze. There was no way he could have. This Battler was the peace Battler. There was no way he could see Beato in this higher level world. However, his eyes really did meet hers. Even though they couldn't have, Beato was sure they did. As Erika and Ava and the others closed in on Natsuhi, questioning her over and over, only Battler stood apart from that tumult. His expression held none of the enthusiasm and excitement that the other humans had. He just piercingly and coldly surveyed the scene. And the expression on his face was a quiet displeasure, anger. He wasn't feeling compassion for Natsuhi because her lie was about to be exposed. However, he couldn't excuse Erika, a self-proclaimed intellectual rapist. He simply enjoyed cornering Natsuhi and those who sympathized with her. Then he whispered softly, "It's useless." Beato and the others definitely heard that.
You don't think Battler might turn things around from this weakened position?
I probably could have done it back in my day. And Battler can probably do it.
Battler...
Battler, if you are indeed the man who will inherit everything from me, now is the time to prove it. Don't let the legend of the Golden Witch end here.
It's true, I met Father here last night, it's true. And he spoke to me of the Ushime family's glorious history as well as the burden of bearing it.
Your lie has already been exposed, Natsuhi-san. We already know that you were alone in this room last night. Isn't it about time to give up and confess? Culprits who are bad at giving up tend to go with bad mystery novels. At least in the end, please prove that this is a slightly better third-rate mystery than that.
It's useless. It's all useless. Battler, who had been silent off by himself up until then, spoke. At first, it sounded as though he was attacking Natsuhi. However, when Erika realized he was glaring directly at her, her expression visibly clouded with displeasure.
And just what are you calling useless?
If this is a third-rate mystery, then the detective's third-rate too. Listen up. I'm gonna become grandfather.
Battler?
You'll become Kinzo-san? Are you saying you'll become Kinzo-san and reenact his disappearance from this room? Do you actually intend to deny my checkmate? Fool!
What is this man saying?
Hey, new girls. This here's your first game, right? Sorry, but it's totally useless to call checkmate after a little something like that. Yeah, it's all useless. Well, what are you talking about, Battler? You say you'll become dad? Yeah, I'll reenact it. I'll become grandfather and disappear from this room.
You can't use the windows or the door, right? How would you do it?
Did you find a hidden door?
I don't have a clue either. Yes, not a clue.
That sound wasn't just the noise of the onlookers fidgeting. It was a provocative chill that ran up Erika's spine.
Interesting. I see you're the successor to the Ushiromiya family headship, the one who bears the head's ring. That should more than qualify you to stand in for Kinzo-san. Why don't you let us have a look at your theory?
Erika's expression was no longer a challenging smile. It was malicious, overwhelmingly displeased. She couldn't conceal her anger at having this very pleasurable time of hers ruined.
How will he get us out of here?
I've got it. I see, so that move still remains. Open, I guess.
So you finally figured it out, you damn geezer. Hidden doors and hiding under the bed, all that stuff is so pitiful it brings tears to the eyes. This is the Ushiromiya Kinzo we're talking about here. There's got to be a more thrilling and exciting answer.
Exactly. How pitiful that even I couldn't think of it, even though it was about me. And how pitiful that the only one of my relatives to understand me is Battler, the kid who's returned after being gone for 6 years. Battler, take my place. Do not shame me.
Sure, Gramps. I'll teach these guests what the dignity of the Ushiromiya family head is all about.
What are you planning to do, father?
Wahahaha! Natsuhi, Beatrice, watch. We'll show you what being the Ushiromiya family head truly entails.
That battler, what's he trying to prove?
There's no way he can do anything. This is a perfect closed room.
Natsuhi, come over here. Now move as I tell you to. Battler called Natsuhi over to the window and whispered something to her with his back towards the others.
Miss Delano, you're ready for everything, right? It's not possible for Kinzo and the witch to slip out of this room, right?
Of course, Gertrude, Cornelia, and the palace guards. Double check that the seal of this closed room is perfect.
Please allow me to speak. Our barrier is perfect.
Allow me to speak. There are no hidden doors, and escape will not be granted through either door or window. Palace guards, when Battler engages the barrier, fire arrows without hesitation.
She has to corpse. Roger. Battler-sama, prepare yourself.
Escaping from this room is impossible.
But he'll do it, yeah?
How?
He's certain he can succeed even without any basis. That's what it means to be the Ushiromiya head, yeah? True. Let's watch.
Yeah. Let's see the mystery of Riche's opponent.
Majesty.
Let's see the majesty of Riche's opponent.
Then I'll begin. Everyone nodded and watched Battler's every move. Grandfather was lying in bed like this, grunting his understanding of Natsuhi's daily report or whatever. Battler laid on the bed himself. As if it still mattered now, Erika grumbled about disturbing the crime scene, but no one listened to her. Then I stop answering and sleep. Well, realistically speaking, I probably get tired of all that talking and now only pretend to be asleep.
You really do get it.
I see that father has gone to sleep. Bow silently and leave.
Natsuhi lowered her head to Battler, who was still lying down in the bed, and turned around. Then she started wandering around as though doing an inspection of the room. After seeing that grandfather was asleep, Aunt Natsuhi probably did an inspection of the room before leaving. Of course, she had Shunin-chan and the others clean it every day, but she still checked it thoroughly herself, making sure there was no dust piling up, making sure he hadn't run out of any consumables.
Yes. This is the room of the precious family head, so I check everything carefully myself instead of relying entirely on the servants. I always do that.
That's true. Madame usually checks things very carefully.
Her inspections are very detailed, and she even checks all of the consumables in the washroom one by one. In other words, we aren't just talking dust on the windowsill, like you all see and like you see all the time on TV. She checks to see that there's enough soap and toilet paper in the washroom. Though she probably doesn't have to do it each day, she's very devoted.
That is my routine. I mustn't slack off in my inspection of the head's room for even a single day.
So, what's your point? Please keep any showing off to a minimum.
Isn't getting to show off the biggest perk of being the detective?
But I'm the detective.
Since we're inside the study, you can probably tell, but even though we call it a study, it wouldn't be wrong to call it a second house inside the mansion. It has a sleeping room, a study, a washroom, and even a toilet and bath. In other words, it isn't a single room. You could call it a full house.
Thank you for the explanation of the room's layout. However, the move of having him hide somewhere in this room has already been defeated.
He isn't hiding. However, there's got to be several blind spots. For example, if Aunt Natsuhi went into the bathroom to check the amount of toilet paper, most of the study would be outside her range of vision. In other words, for almost every location in the study, the sole observer would have disappeared.
Observer disappearance. We've lost track of Kinzo.
Let it be said that the witch's darkness is filling the study.
Excellent. Watch as it fills with the power of darkness.
So, if Natsuhi goes away, so what? What next?
When Grandfather noticed that fussy Aunt Natsuhi leaving, he got up.
Why?
On a twisted night such as this, what better way to enjoy a drink than bathed in the twisted weather under the night sky?
Since Aunt Natsuhi's in the blind spot of the bathroom, it becomes possible for Grandfather to walk about the study at will. It was possible for him to move about without Natsuhi's knowledge. It was possible for him to move without contradicting what Natsuhi knew. Warning! Battler is approaching the study door. Allow me to speak. A noise rings out when the lock on the study door is released. Know that you cannot leave through the door without Natsuhi thinking something was odd. Because Battler had acted as though he was heading for the door, Gertrude, who was sealing the door, immediately sent out a warning. Maybe it was possible for him to leave the study while in Natsuhi's blind spot. However...
That's right. There's a sound. We know there's a loud sound when the auto lock is released. Even if Natsuhi was in a blind spot inside the study, she wouldn't miss hearing that. Of course she'd find it odd.
Allow me to speak. Let it be said that Natsuhi did not hear the sound of the door opening while in the room. The washroom and toilet are very close to the door. Even if they hadn't been, that auto lock always lets off such a massive sound. She'd be able to hear that sound no matter what. Natsuhi had already spoken with Erika and the others about the details of the previous night, making it quite clear that nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. Any argument that relied on Natsuhi failing to hear the lock wouldn't work. Please allow me to speak once more. Kinzo entering or exiting through the door will not be permitted.
Let it be said that this is a useless struggle. It is foolish.
It's true I can't break through the red of that girl by the door. But how about you over there by the window? Turning his back to Gertrude, who claimed that leaving through the door was impossible, Battler locked his gaze on Cornelia, who stood in front of the window. Make sure you hold that barrier of yours up tight, 'cause you're gonna be blasted away, okay? By now, Battler's target was clear. It was Cornelia. It was the window. He was going to smash his closed room from the window. Not expecting to be chosen as the target herself, Cornelia was overawed for just a second, but she quickly regained her composure. On rare occasions, struggling, fleeing witches would directly challenge the barriers Cornelia set up. Such witches were always fighting desperately on the brink of death. Please allow me to speak. You are Battler's target, Cornelia. I ask that you be on your guard.
Fool! God have pity on this foolish lamb.
I'm no sheep. The head of the Ushirimiya family is an eagle, with one wing. Don't think you can keep me shut up in this study forever with just a flimsy window like that. Starting from a low posture, both silent and supple, Battler ran forward like a white leopard.
This guy couldn't possibly mean to.
Allow me to speak. There is no way to defeat my red. Know that your wish will not be granted.
Cornelia thrust out both her arms and made a sign. When she did, a red barrier closed in front of Battler.
Know that your course is a fruitless one, Ushirimiya Battler. Know that this window is sealed from the inside and Natsuki did not help Kinzo escape.
I'm not saying that Aunt Natsuki helped Grandfather escape, but what if Grandfather snuck out, keeping it a secret from Aunt Natsuki?
Why would Kinzo go out the window on his own?
What better way to enjoy a drink on a twisted night than leaping through the rain-swept skies?
But this is the 3rd floor, right? It's impossible.
Even if you've jumped down a flight of stairs at least once... Even you've jumped down a flight of stairs at least once in your life, right? 3 stories is nothing for Kinzo. I wouldn't put it past him. I certainly wouldn't.
That's ridiculous.
Blue cracks appeared in Cornelia's red barrier, and it shattered with a crisp sound. It was all far too quick. It looked almost as though she'd gotten out of the way herself in fear of Battler.
Endless 9. Magic resistance power. Endless 9.
Cornelia-sama, you can't block it. Retreat! At the same time, the barrier shattered. The window behind Cornelia's back was flung open. The curtains fluttered for just an instant. Though it was all filled with the rain, the heavens and the courtyard were spread out in front of them, a fitting exit for an eagle leaping from the closed room.
Cornelia, repair the barrier. As you wish, Commander Delanor. Know that you will not be allowed to break this.
Cornelia quickly returned to her senses and set up another red barrier. However, this was her last one.
Please allow me to speak. Let us accept for the time being that Kinzo escaped through the window. In that case, how did he lock a window which cannot be locked from the outside? The window was locked from the inside.
That was a lot.
Natsuki.
Easy.
Useless.
Yeah, it's all useless. Kinzo and Battler grinned. Did she think this feeble red could block the charge of Battler and Kinzo, the 2 family heads? After Grandfather jumped out the window, Aunt Natsuki probably noticed a slight draft. She then approached the window, realized it was wide open, then quickly closed it and locked it.
Natsuki couldn't have imagined that I'd slip out the window.
Yeah, so it's only natural that Aunt Natsuki thought Kinzo was sleeping in bed. Now that Battler had found the answer, the red barrier was more fragile than thin glass. The red magical wall of certainty had been smashed again, so easily that it disgraced the name of certainty itself. Unbelievable, right? That barrier was more firm than any Ronove had ever used against Jessica, and yet it had been destroyed so easily. Though Battler was rushing fiercely and had almost reached Cornelia, she didn't step aside. Her steel spirit, worthy of the name Jungfrau, didn't allow her to step aside. She took a charm from her pocket, placed it against the thin air, and made a sign. Then, not red but blue, burned there. Though it was far more frail than the red barrier, it was her last method of resistance.
You won't get through. You won't. Let me speak. Let me speak. Be that as it may, this is the 3rd floor. How could a wingless human escape from the window? Know that you won't get through. You won't.
Just quit your whining and watch. This is the answer. Ah!
Battler jumped. He burst through Cornelia and her blue barrier, knocked them away, and his body flew out the window through the darkness of the rainy sky. The fragments of the blue barrier scattered beautifully, adorning the surrounding air. The closed room had been smashed open. Battler flew out of the mansion, through the sky above the rainy courtyard. All the raindrops became small round gems and were scattered through the air. Battler flew across the treasure box world of that exquisite stormy sky, through the countless gems of rain that filled it. In the sky over the world frozen in time, Delanora and Battler faced each other. If Battler, who had smashed and flown out the window, was like a knight leaping out off a white horse, then Delanora was another knight who floated in the air waiting for him. In the air above the courtyard, surrounded by the Ushiremiya mansion and frozen in time, the true new head of the Ushiremiya family, and the disciple of heaven, who would test him, crossed paths.
Well done. When you fall into the courtyard, whether you live or die, it won't change the fact that Kinzo could have defeated this closed room. You who have thrown away your life and jumped are a martyr. Well done. You have smashed our closed room barrier. Splendid Ushiremiya battler. However, I am the head inquisitor of heresy, Delanor A. Knox. I cannot allow you to escape out from under my nose. Now at the end, allow me the honor of crossing swords with you.
Sure, bring it on. This game is surprisingly unrelenting. In this world where the gems of rain fell slowly like large snowflakes on a snowy field, Delanor and Battler slowly crossed paths. It seemed slow, and yet it happened in a flash. Their gazes crossed and clashed like lightning. Knight confronted knight head-on, and everything would be settled with a single strike. Blue and red crossed paths.
Was it shown beforehand that a blind spot existed within the study for Natsuki? If it wasn't shown, this theory will not be permitted. Knox's 8th, it is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented.
Delanor's double strike with both the blue and red blades reached out to slice Battler, and failed. Those long swords, which had never lost over the course of 100 battles, cut through empty air. When we entered the study, its structure was clearly described. Too bad for you. For the first time, an expression showed on Delanor's face. It was a sudden smile. She had known about that long before. However, she still couldn't let him escape without attempting that single strike, not even with her reputation as an inquisitor of heresy on the line. She still crossed swords with Battler, even though she knew it would fail.
Yes, I knew. With your answer, Knox's 8th is not violated.
Here it comes. No hard feelings.
Yes, come.
In Battler's hand was a blade that shone red. That blade etched out the red truth. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Kinzo's study was a small villa he had created inside the mansion. A study, a library, a place to sleep, and a bathroom and washroom. It was divided into multiple rooms. That had already been shown, and it suggests that there could have been a blind spot somewhere within the room. Without any mercy, no, without any reluctance, which would have been dishonourable, the sword of the Red Truth cut into Dillinor. It cut a beautiful hemisphere through the countless gems of rain that filled the sky.
Well done.
Time exploded into life. Both of them fell through the courtyard. One drifted down, the other tumbled through the air. Then there was a soft sound and a dull thud. The first was the sound of Battler landing gently in the courtyard. The second was the sound of Dillinor crashing down. After crouching down for a while, Battler slowly stood up. Though he had jumped down from the 3rd floor, he had landed as lightly as though he had merely jumped over a fence.
Battler!
Beato leaned out of the study window, looking to see if the supposedly wingless Battler had landed safely.
Beato, come on, jump.
Huh?
That window is our way out. So jump. You aren't the kind of witch who can be locked up inside a closed room, right?
The study was no longer a closed room. She could jump from here, escape from here. By now, the closed room that had threatened to capture the witch and suffocate her had been destroyed.
Yes. You too, Kinzo.
Go. From the moment Battler showed his answer, my spirit had already escaped from this room.
Kinzo's form became a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared. The closed room barrier had dissolved, and the power that denies magic had scattered. Beato ran towards the window. That was the only exit from the closed room of this witch hunt. After glancing at the Siesta sisters and the subordinates of the Inquisitor of Heresy, she readied her wound-covered body and ran towards the window, just like Battler had done. She looked like Cinderella running as she heard the bell toll.
There's no way we'll let you escape. Beatrice, illusion of the witch.
Erica flew at Beato, trying to latch onto Beato as she dashed, but it was like trying to catch smoke, and she landed face first on the floor. There was no way a human could catch a witch. For one such as her, without love, even touching Beato was impossible.
Siesta corpse! Shoot the witch! Shoot her dead!
Alignment conflict, unable to fire. Allow me to speak. I have no barrier prepared that can block Battler's blue truth. Both Siesta 00 and Gertrude spoke with unbelievably calm voices.
No one can stop them? Not Battler? Not Kinzo? Not Beatrice? If these guys manage to escape, my closed room, my theory. I'm the detective, Frudo, Erica.
Erica crouched, screaming and clutching at her head. The Great Golden Witch isn't going to be defeated by something like that geezer's grubby study. It's still just the first twilight. I'll teach these newcomers that your game isn't that easy. Just like Battler, Beato also flew. She drifted down through the rain treasure box world into Battler's chest. Battler caught her with both arms as though catching a feather from an angel.
How did Battler not get harmed?
I don't know. It was just magic. It was like a knight catching a princess who had been locked up in a tower. Like a beautiful picture of a scene in some fairy tale.
Crap, I think I'm in love. I rolled the Ushirimiya family heads like this.
If you were to write down the number of unprecedented feats of Ushirimiya Kinzo, you would probably have an uproarious tale longer than all the grimoires in the study put together. It seems the tale of the next head will be worth writing down as well. In fact, it already is being written. It's already a very, very long tale.
Is that
Cook.
kind of breaking the fourth wall?
The demons giggled on top of the roof, holding umbrellas. Then they quietly looked down over the two in the courtyard.
You're not bad at all.
I guess all your games have toughened me up. In shock, Beato actually praised Battler as he held her in his arms. Battler laughed in his usual carefree way.
This is impossible. Impossible.
Erika looked down from the window and clenched her teeth, still clutching at her head. Still holding Beato in his arms, Battler grinned back. Erika.
What?
I'm not giving the riddle of the Golden Witch to you. I'll solve it. That riddle belongs to the two of us. Right, Beato?
Indeed, my riddle is
Yo? When Battler laughed evilly, Beato's face turned uncharacteristically red. But even so, she spoke while laughing loudly.
My riddle is yours. Yours alone, Ushiramiya Battler. I won't let anyone else solve it.
Listen to her saying something like that. Battler snorted, amused that Beato had said something so out of character. And still holding Beato in his arms, he spun around in a kind of waltz. The falling gems of rain celebrated their victory over this trial.
He jumped down from the 3rd story? And he's alright.
That's what I want to know.
He jumped down and escaped from the closed room. This is ridiculous. This isn't reasoning. It's insane.
If Battler had at least been seriously injured and writhing in the mud, Erika might have still had some ground to stand on. She might have been able to claim that Kinzo couldn't have jumped down with his old body and gotten away unscathed. However, Battler stood calmly in the courtyard, looking up at Erika with the dignity of the victor.
Everyone, I'll ask one more time. This is impossible, right? There's no way a human could jump down from a 3rd story and land unharmed. Isn't that right, everyone? Much less Kinzo-san jumping down from the 3rd floor at his age. This isn't reasoning.
Erika tried to get everyone's agreement and somehow turn things around, but their responses were no different from how they'd been a short while ago.
No, it would be possible for Kinzo-san.
I wouldn't put it past Father.
This is Father we're talking about.
There's plenty of crazy stories about that man. Something like this wouldn't surprise me a bit.
What? Is there something wrong with your heads? With your brains? People?
At any rate, it looks like your closed room argument wasn't perfect.
Not only the servants, but the family members also agreed. They all agreed that there was nothing strange about Kinzo jumping down from a 3rd floor window. Just who in the world is this Ushiramiya Kinzo person?
Well, I'll give you 60 points. Kinzo would have done it with a bit more flash in his younger days. It needs some more tweaking.
Oh, and how much should it be tweaked?
Well, he might have jumped down with me in his arms.
Got it. Next time I'll do that.
If you think you can, just try.
Beato's voice grew very faint, and she gulped. Then her body suddenly crumbled away into a cloud of gold butterflies. That was because many people had rushed up to the window, and she was being bathed with gazes filled with the anti-magic toxin. Beato's body became invisible to them and melted into the air. So to their eyes, it appeared that Battler was standing all alone out in the courtyard. Battler! You okay?
It looks like he's fine. Thank goodness. I have lost, in that case, for the benefit of those people in the studies as well. Deliver your final blow to me. Use your final blue truth to show how Kinzo escaped from the closed room of that study.
There was no pain in Dillanore's expression. Pleasure and pain never showed up on her face in the first place. However, she was only barely able to rise to her feet, using her long sword as a crutch, so it was very easy to guess at how heavily she'd been damaged. And despite her lack of an expression, you could tell that this was a loss she could accept. Battler and Dillanore turned to face each other. Here I go.
Yes, calm.
As though readying herself, Dillanore quietly closed her eyes, but she still stood tall and maintained her air of dignity. This is my blue truth. The blue power gathered. Battler slowly approached Dillanore. Then he faced the rainy sky and yelled out the blue truth. Ushiremiya Kinzo escaped from the study through the window when Aunt Natsuhi couldn't see him. Aunt Natsuhi didn't notice and locked the window. In this way, Aunt Natsuhi saw Grandfather go to bed, yet Grandfather was able to escape from the study without contradicting the lock of the window or the door sealed by the receipt. I have just demonstrated that it was physically possible for him to escape. Therefore, this battle is over! The blue wedge flashed through the courtyard, along with a blue bolt of lightning, roaring down towards Lenore's forehead as she stared up at the sky. Beato's game isn't forgiving. It's doubtful whether the classic patterns of the mystery genre even work here. Your swordsmanship isn't bad, but you ought to be a bit more flexible in your thinking. A massive blue wedge that looked like a pillar was above Delanore's forehead, and had stopped with its tip just slightly touching her. It didn't run her through. It made no mark larger than being poked with a pencil. When Battler snapped his fingers, the blue wedge shattered and became a shower of translucent gems. No, drops of rain that poured down over the courtyard. Delanore sat down in a dazed sort of way. Amidst the thunder and rain, the successor to the Ushiremiya family headship faced the people staring down from the study and spread his arms wide. Welcome to Beato's and my game. We welcome Furuta Erika.
How amusing, Ushiremiya Battler. Good, truly good. I'll chew it to bits, this riddle of the witch, all the way deep into its guts while it's still alive.
Battler and Beato both looked calmly up at Erika, who couldn't contain her evil laugh.
Oh, this is good stuff. Erika, that was so lame.
Lady Brandcastle, my apologies.
That look on your face. It's so incredibly laughable that I'd like to smash it and put a frame around it. My double is so pathetic, lame. Bathed in the sneers of Brandcastle, a being who was like a mother to her, Erika was so ashamed that it looked as though she'd chew her lower lip to pieces.
Someday I'll definitely, Ushiremiya Battler, Beatrice Ushiremiya Natsuhi.
This riddle is ours. My voice. I won't let anyone get in the way. Beatrice.
Yes.
I actually lost my voice.
That was a really long chapter. It's a good thing we didn't try to do that one last night.
I told you.
No, I would have died. Would have got through 5 minutes, I would be snoring.
Do you get what happened at all?
I do get Battler's point of view, but at the same time, I'm like, what about your sister?
Well, like, you get the Erika bringing in Delanore and her posse.
No.
She's the detective.
Are they like the version of the Chester? Why were the Chester sisters working for her?
They're just pieces they're used in the game. However, the game master wants them to be used.
Mm.
But, like, Erika is a detective, so she's fighting against witches.
Yeah. But I thought Battler was supposed to be fighting against witches too.
Battler's just doing whatever Battler's doing right now.
Battler gone rogue.
But, like, fighting as the human side, Erika can't use, like the red truth and stuff. So when Beatrice was using blue truth against her, she couldn't do anything herself. That's why she calls on Dillinor.
Oh, yeah, no, I did see that. When they were getting Natsuhi to repeat things, and then Dillinor was confirming
Yeah.
it in the Red
So,
Truth.
do you get what Dillinor is then? It's pretty self-explanatory.
No. Explain it.
I'm pretty sure I brought up the name before.
Oh, the rules. Nox's rules. When they let Nox's fourth or Nox's fifth.
Backwards.
Ronald?
I've mentioned Nox before. He was like one of the old mystery authors, and he made like a bunch of rules that he believed should be adhered to for every mystery novel. He was like, if anyone breaks these rules, it's not a real mystery novel, essentially.
Ronald. Ronald.
It's either Ronald or Arnold, I can't remember.
That's not how you spell Arnold.
Yeah, I know.
No, I did think, see Nox and her last name being Nox.
But do you get it?
Trying to keep it in mystery instead of supernatural?
Well, the debate is, for a long time, you've been trying to figure out what the rules to the game were. Because you've been going with like time travel, fantasy, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like, we haven't been able to know for sure, like, what the rules regarding the game are.
Is it basically the representation of the rules?
Yeah, it's kind of like implying that those rules that Nox created are being represented through this character, and it's kind of implying that these rules are
Can
what's
be
the word?
broken?
No, it's implying that they can be applied to the game. So it's saying that this story supposedly, maybe, follows the rules that Nox created.
I feel like they've been applying the rules before the introduction of this character, though.
Like in previous episodes.
Yeah.
I think they've mentioned things about it, like in the mystery genre and stuff. But I don't think they've explicitly stated what the rules were. Anyway, that was a long one, so see ya.
Yeah, we need a break.